A monkey has bogged their jeep in bloody puddles. Build the rescue Chinook. Release the claw and rescue the monkey. 2 monkeys have bogged their vehicles in bloody puddles. Build the Killdozer, clean up what's left of them, and get your revenge. The new Monkey City Killdozer. Get it before it flies off the shelves.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Helipilot. They are a military class monkey that flies around the map firing twin darts every 0.57 seconds. Simple, yet they can be upgraded to do so much more. Do you want a monkey that does all the flying for you while shredding balloons with a combination of darts, missiles and blades? The top path is your guy. Do you want a monkey that uses the power of wind to push back balloons while having the ability to forcibly relocate a friend? The middle path is right up your alley. Or do you want a monkey that uses unconventional methods to push back Moabs and pepper them with 10,000 darts? The bottom path is your best friend. And the fact that it's permanently hovering above the ground, it can be used in even some of the most annoying maps. But that's enough of me waffling. Without further ado, let's get right into it. The top path has had a wild history, and by wild, I mean non-existent. This path has received very few buffs, yet somehow, it still holds up. Well, sort of. But the concept is still a blast to play with, despite having visible signs of power creep. But to give this path credit, it actually starts with a decent upgrade. Quad Darts provides double the darts for half the price of the base heli, which is one hell of a deal for the early game. And on top of that, it gives Mini Comanches bonus darts, which is a nice touch. While not the best option if you're using your heli for support, it's a solid and well-rounded upgrade. Moving to Pursuit, it gives the heli autopilot, removing almost all requirement for micro. I still stand by the fact that nothing beats manual micro, especially on multi-laned maps. But Pursuit is by far one of the best quality of life upgrades in the game, and it makes the heli extremely chill to play with. Meanwhile, Razor Rotors has to be one of the most unconventional, but fitting upgrades for this path. Instead of adding more guns, it transforms the helicopter's blades into their own attack, that swiftly shred any balloon type that come near it. When combined with its base attack, the heli becomes a relatively competent early game DPS, and it only struggles when space ceramics start to show up. Cross-pathing is also rather unique for Razor Rotors. 99% of the time, the bottom path should be your go-to pick, since it increases attack speed for the darts and blades. However, the middle cross-path is actually extremely useful in the weirdest of scenarios. It absolutely shreds super fast balloons. Surprise camo swarms are no longer a problem, and it can solo most CT tiles, while still keeping a relatively good score. But taking all things into account, Razor Rotors is a solid upgrade. They are cheap, easy to use, and can pop almost every balloon type. It's just unfortunate that it falls off extremely quickly without support. But delving further into this path, I feel sad for the current state of the Apache dart ship. The combination of missiles and a machine gun sounds like a match made in heaven, but with it not receiving many buffs since launch, it has been power crept into obscurity. I know I'm going a little against the grain here, but the power level is actually fairly balanced. It's mainly the price that's the problem. 20k is a fairly high commitment for a pure DPS upgrade, especially when it's designed to fall off late game. And with it not providing any support beyond its raw DPS, it's a monumental waste of money unless you're upgrading to Prime. Don't get me wrong, I like the upgrade's concept. I just want it to be in a usable state because it's heavily outclassed compared to most options in its price bracket. Meanwhile, Apache Prime has been the valve of BTD6 recently. It has received no changes, yet it somehow keeps winning. Jokes aside, all of the Apache's weapons get a massive upgrade. The missiles get a plus 15 Moab bonus, Razor Rotors deal more damage, along with the darts and machine gun being swapped out for laser and plasma variants. While it does sound powerful on paper, Apache Prime does come with some downsides. DDTs proved to be the Apache's kryptonite, since most of its attacks can't damage black or lead balloons. But it's completely manageable with proper support. However, its relatively high cost makes it tough to recommend on harder maps. 45 to 50k is already a fairly high asking price, but considering the former upgrade costs 20k, it is only affordable during the late 70s or 80s, which on some maps is almost too late. Obviously Rosalia's discount does help with the save up, but it's simply a band-aid fix for a much larger problem. Not to mention that it's not a good pick on maps with multiple entrances, but that's more of a heli problem, so I'll keep it at that. Honestly, I don't like being this negative about the top path, since as I said before, I like the monkey's design. But Apache has suffered a lot from power creep, and giving it a price buff will make the dart ship and prime a lot more approachable. Moving to the middle path, we have by far one of the strangest upgrade progressions in the game. It starts with utility, moves to support, and suddenly, damage. It's a strange combination, but they work well together. Bigger jets increases the heli's movement speed by 30 units per second. While not exactly groundbreaking, it's extremely useful for its pushback bonus to Moab shove, and it can come in handy during challenges with increased balloon speed modifiers. IFR continues the utility theme by giving the heli camo detection. However, it's a bit more niche than bigger jets since it doesn't provide any cross-pathing benefits, and it's often better to give the heli camo detection through external buffs. Downdraft shifts the heli into a more supportive role by introducing a new attack of the same name. Every 0.2 seconds, the downdraft attack pushes back up to 2 balloons between 32 and 150 units. The only drawbacks is that ceramics consume twice as much Pierce, and it can't blow back leads or Moab class balloons. The blowback also removes other stalling effects, so keep that in mind when mixing it with other stalling towers. However, what makes the attack good is that it's strapped to a heli, so you can use it anywhere on the track, and thanks to faster jets, it has the mobility to be anywhere at any given time. While this level of mobile balloon stalling is invaluable, I would be lying to you if I didn't mention that it has racked up a lot of competition over the past few years. It was fairly dominant for quite some time, but the large nerf in 38.0, along with the introduction and buffs to other ceramic support monkeys, it has kind of fallen off. Don't get me wrong, I still use it from time to time, even more so for this video. But it has become a lot more situational, since most other options provide additional benefits that downdraft can't provide. To give it credit though, it works relatively well without any cross-pathing, but it doesn't hurt to pick up the bottom cross path for extra attack and blowback speed, especially if you're going for the Marine. On the other hand, Chinook has always been a rather unique monkey, but in a good way. It may be a little more niche than Downdraft, but it comes with a whole bunch of unique bonuses. You get faster blowback and extra dart speed, which is nice, but the main selling point is the two abilities. The Chinook ability allows you to move a monkey to a different position on the map. However, it has some limitations, since it can't pick up large monkeys, and it doesn't allow the placement on ice or ink platforms. While the crate ability summons 2 supply crates to boost your economy. One crate provides a fair amount of cash, while the other grants some lives, both of which can come in handy during specific challenges or boss events. Just be wary of their long cooldowns, since you need to stall out rounds to make the most of them. Now, Special Operations is the heli upgrade that perplexes me the most. I understand from a competitive boss standpoint why it's a common pick, because it provides the trifecta of damage, farming, and stalling. But using it in regular games, it feels awkward to build up to due to how the upgrades are set out. While it still builds on the heli's movement speed, blowback rate, income, and redeploy cooldown, it just slaps the Marine ability into the mix because why not? Okay, but to do the Marine justice, it's fairly strong for how small and mobile it is. Fast attack speed, combined with normal damage and camo detection, isn't a joke, but it performs better when used as a cleanup tower, since it lacks single target damage. The cooldown for the ability is 10 seconds shorter than its uptime, so for a brief period you can have 2 Marines on the field. Now if you're also playing with Monkey Knowledge, you also get access to the Door Gunner ability. When activated, it allows one monkey to sit inside the heli, while retaining the ability to attack balloons. Again, the usual Chinook conditions apply, and it can't be used on a tier 5, but it allows for some pretty funny shenanigans. Monkeys can now do a drive-by. You can make the world's funniest auto farmer, and give a sniper global range because they kind of need it. But getting back into the upgrade overall, it's fairly fun. It's not my go-to pick, since the previous upgrades are often good enough for blowback, but it's fun to whip out every now and again for meme runs. Now last, but definitely not least, we have the bottom path. While being the most volatile to balance changes, bottom path Heli is currently a very strong monkey for its raw DPS and Moab stalling. Even if you aren't the biggest fan of this path, they have some of the most versatile upgrades in the game that are useful in a wide range of strategies. But of all the upgrades to start the path with, there is faster darts. With it only providing small improvements to the range, projectile speed and lifespan of the Heli's darts, it has devolved into a bit of a meme. But it was funny that it used to be the tier 2 upgrade, and Ninja Kiwi was forced to swap it because it wasn't being used. Moving to faster darts, it increases the speed of all the Heli's attacks, including their alternate ones, like Razor Rotors, Missiles, Downdraft, and the Marine. Very strong upgrade unlike its predecessor, and it pairs well with almost any Heli upgrade. Upgrading to Moab Shove, the heli pilot draws their attention away from improving the helicopter's munitions to making the helicopter ammunition. You heard me right, the heli pilot has the greatest plan of pushing back Moabs by smashing directly into them. And on top of that, it adds some funny little missiles that can pop lead and deal bonus damage to ceramics and Moabs. Jokes aside, Moab Shove has to be one of the most versatile upgrades that the heli offers, since it can be used as an early game DPS, or as a mid to late game utility. On the DPS side, Moab Shove fares fairly well during the early game and 40s, with slight weaknesses to leads and ceramics. But with some light support, it can easily save enough money for Comanche defense. In this scenario, I mainly recommend the top cross path, since the extra darts come in handy for increasing the heli's DPS, and Pursuit makes the mid-game a lot easier. But when Moab Shove is used as a utility, it can go a really long way. It makes the mid-game a fair bit easier for monkeys with low Moab DPS, along with stalling some late-game rounds. In this case, I will recommend the middle cross path, since the increased blowback and camo detection is universally helpful, but more notably, it allows the heli to permastall a BFB. Moving to Comanche defense, the heli takes a step away from its supportive roots and hones in on its raw DPS. Most of its base stats get doubled or even tripled, and more recently, it was given enhanced blowback against ZOMGs and DDTs, with some side effects. However, one of the more notable features of the Comanche defense is that it isn't alone. When the bloons pass each quarter of the map, the heli summons between 1 and 3 mini Comanches that come assist you when you need them the most. Each spawn event is considered independent from one another, so you can trigger the single, double, and even triple Comanches during different points of a round. But they don't stack, so at most you can only have 3 on the field at any given time. Adding all that together though, Comanche defense is what I call a strong mid-game monkey. It may not cover all bases, since it lacks camo detection and lead popping power, but with the right support, it makes the mid-game trivial. And for the final upgrade in this path, the Comanche transforms from a defense into a commander, making the 3 mini Comanches permanent, and buffing a whole bunch of stats. But one of the most notable features is that it reacts extremely well to buffs. Hence, with the right support, it can decimate most of the late game. Gluestorm is by far the strongest synergy, since it temporarily strips lead properties off balloons and makes them vulnerable to 2 extra damage. And given that the ComCom fires many projectiles and can't pop lead, you can quickly see that they go well together. It also synergizes with other buffing towers like Overclock, Top Path Elk, Embrittlement, Sabo, etc., so it's often good to invest in a handful of them. ComCom also pairs extremely well with a wide range of heroes. Of course, Geraldo is the first I would mention because of his shop, but with him getting nerfed in every single update, I've been branching out to other heroes for support. One hero that has been making a comeback is Gwen, because her Heated Up is now a lot more consistent. And since Heated Up provides extra damage, pierce, and lead popping power, Gwen is essentially a budget Gluestorm for the DDT waves. Rosalia also isn't too shabby now because her discount is buffed to give twice as much, but she doesn't do much to directly buff the heli's DPS. Pat Fusty is Pat Fusty, and Psy can be a decent pick for their stuns and ability to nuke round 98. But overall, ComCom, and the bottom path in general is an extremely powerful monkey and can perform extremely well even on some of the toughest maps. But otherwise, that is my opinion on the current state of the Helipilot. I hope you enjoyed today's video because I'm trying to bring back some things I was originally burnt out from making. However, as I normally say, thanks for watching and I'll see you all in the next video.